today what we're gonna do is, you know, old cars, right? Hood latch on my EF just broke. It just snapped. It wouldn't open the hood anymore, which made it real difficult to open it afterwards because you can't get your hand up into the grill area like you can on some cars to reach up and like pull the latch to open the thing. So I had to basically remove the entire front bumper by taking off the crash bar and pull it off. And I've already removed the hood latch itself, like the wire one. And what it does is it goes down below this upper cross member and then rides around into the fender well, up and then inside the car. Anyway, I already got that taken off. So now I ordered a new one from eBay, which I was kind of amazed that they even still sold them on eBay, but they do. Or at least I'm hopeful that this is the right one. It's the one that they say does fit it, so we're gonna give it a shot. I think it's probably the right one though. And then I have my hood latch that I took off from the inside. It's pretty easy to put on. You guys probably know how to put it on, but I'm gonna go over it anyways, just in case you don't, or in case you're having the same problems, which I imagine that a lot of people have based off of the forums that I've seen of people having issues with this. And honestly, after what this car is like, what, 91, it's like 30 years old or something, so you're gonna have this problem at some point. Anyway, we're gonna change this today and I'll let you know just how difficult it is. Okay, so I've kind of rigged up this concoction to be able to open my hood, but this ain't cutting it anymore. So we're gonna have to remove this and get us something a little bit more permanent going. Anyway, take this off. All right, so the little ball thing hooks on down there. You just pull it off. Pretty self-explanatory. And let's open this and see what it looks like. I feel like I've already... Here's the new one. Yep, it's got the little ball end there. So you just put that in that guy and then snap that little groove in there. And now this side is done. So we'll put this back up in there. All right, so then this is gonna go through the fender well over here, so I'm gonna have to remove that tire and that wheel. So the way we route this is, if you come around here, you'll see a clip here, a clip right here. It'll go up through here, around, and you'll see clips up here, 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 and then it goes inside this hole right here with the rubber grommet. So pretty easy, really, to figure out. All my clips are broken, so I'm gonna have to figure out something to do with that. It's kind of a bummer, but I'll let you know my resolution. All right, so I think I came up with a decent solution, at least until I can maybe find these little clips to replace, if they even make them anymore, because old cars, you know. So I'm gonna use these little guys right here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap a zip tie around it and then put another zip tie in it, and then what we'll do is just zip tie the thing up top, cut everything down. It should be pretty secure. Yeah, it should be pretty secure. I'll show you when it's done. Got the rubber grommet in there. It comes up and out that hole over there. So these, we gotta just clip those babies off. Bam. That should hold it up there pretty nicely. So now we just have to install the latch on the inside of the car. Okay, so moving to the inside of the car, we got this guy here. It just has to latch on to this here. Let me see if I can set you up. This goes into here, this black plastic piece, kind of like a I guess a throttle cable would go. Kind of twists in there, and then you got your cable, and then it's got the holder in the back, just like underneath the hood. Snap that in there, and then it's just two 10mm bolts right here that hold it on. I'm sure you probably took it off if you're replacing this, so I never put mine back on, and it's likely the reason that it broke. But we're gonna put those on and then try to pop this baby, see if it pops better than it did before. Got it all mounted here. I mean, feels like it's gonna work. Okay, let's shut this hood, see what happens here. Okay, shut. Oh. Bingo. Okay, so I guess that's fixed. Now I just gotta put this front end back together. This is the finished product. Kind of comes around. I'll have to put that up there because gotta keep it out of the way of those holes there. Got it going up that way and then into the cabin. I mean, I don't see any reason why that's not gonna work, but I'll give you a long-term review on whether those hold in the fender wells or not. I am gonna try to find some actual plastic pieces for brackets, but who knows if they still make those or not. They may even still be the same on any of these older Hondas. I'm just not sure. I'll have to check. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put a new steering wheel and some little things on the EF that's sitting out there. I had the steering wheel since the Honda meet in California, so quite a while. So it's time to get that thing put on. It's actually much better than the Acura steering wheel that's on it right now. But I have to put a hub and everything else on there. I have a quick release for it also, so we'll get all that done. So I think it's pretty crazy that there's only one screw that holds the airbag on. Once you take that off, it looks like the whole thing comes up. Is there another one? Where's the other one at? Oop, oop. And there looks like there's two screws back here as well, but I'm not reusing this steering wheel, so I just pulled it up. I'm gonna go ahead and get to this center bolt right here and get that out, and that'll at least get the steering wheel all the way so I can get the new one on. Another thing we're doing while we have the steering wheel off is replacing this cluster in here. I have an SI cluster that has a RPM gauge on there, and in order to remove that, there's two, I don't know, you probably can't even see it. There's two little caps you have to take off on each side, and then there's Phillips head screws in there. Take those out. And after you get those two up there out, there's one right here and one right here that is gone in mine. And then you should be able to get that hood off. Then you got some plugs back here you got to take out. Those two right there, and the flasher over here. And looking at my hood, which I knew this was a deal on this hood, looks like I have a little crack here. I've actually thought about pulling it together because you can get most of that crack out of it, and then gluing it from the back side with plastic weld. I think that's probably going to be the route that I go. I'm going to do that probably before I put this all back together, since it's out and it's easy to get to right now. Now to get the cluster out itself, we have 4 screws. One there, one that kind of goes in at the top angle here, and you guessed it, 2 over here. Then we should be able to pull this thing out. Yeah, but you have some plugs up here in the back that you'll have to get. Just anything that plugs into the back of this, you have to unplug that. I just wanted to quickly show you guys, man, the cable stuff is so strange, dude. Anyway, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 plugs that has to come out, and then this weird cable thing that goes into the back of the gauge cluster itself. And I imagine now is probably also a good time to change out your LED lights if you want to do an LED light kit, which I kind of do, because the lights on this, the old incandescent, I guess they're incandescent lights that are in the gauge clusters from the old cars, are really, really bad. I'm gonna hit up Auxito and see if they have a LED kit to use. If they don't, then I'll probably just hit up Amazon. This is the SI cluster though that I got. I've had it for a while. I bought it from a local guy here that deals a lot with this stuff. But same weird cable, speedometer cable there, but all the rest of the plugs look like they're gonna hook up just fine. The backs of them look pretty much identical. 1, 2, 3, and a cable. So this is my concoction I got going on here. Got some zip ties pulling down from there. I have this little clamp down here to get rid of all of that gap in there. I mean, you're still gonna be able to see it. It's not gonna be perfect, but it won't keep breaking, which is kind of what it's doing right now. It's just kind of following itself around. And I'm gonna put a bunch of plastic weld on the inside of there. Let that dry, and I think that that'll give it enough rigidity to for it to last a few more years, or until I maybe come across another hood that's in better condition. All right, got our plastic weld kind of layered in there. Used quite a bit of it. Used it on the edges too. I might even have to go back in and put more on there. But like I said, this isn't really a permanent fix. I just want it to stop cracking across the dash for the time period that I have to keep this particular hood. I'm gonna be on the lookout for another one, but obviously you're not buying those new anymore. Okay, so today's the day for learning things. These brackets right here don't fit because I'm pretty sure that this is an 8889 and that is a 9091, and the brackets are different, as well as the hood is different also. The only thing that I can really do is put the old gauge cluster back in and just run that, or buy a hood and brackets for 8889 and run that. But I do like the shape of the 9091 cluster better than like the square boxy style of the 8889. So I'm probably gonna end up just putting the old one back in and running that until I can find a 9091 gauge cluster. I'll probably ask on the classic Hondas on the Dragon classifieds if anybody's got one, and maybe they can bring it to classic Hondas and I can pick it up there. But the 8889 is not gonna work, so that's that. All right, so it's the next day. Let's take a look at this dome and see if it's sturdy or what's going on here. So it's been 24 hours. This stuff is super hard, and that's looking pretty good. If you can see the crack is still there. There's no way to get rid of that. Actually, there may be a way to get rid of that with that like dust stuff on a dash. I've never done it, but I'm gonna look into that. So I've been back and forth to my storage unit a couple times looking for this hub that I bought forever ago on Marketplace. It's an NRG hub. I just cannot find it, and I'm looking everywhere for it. I did find the quick release and the steering wheel, which I have a huge issue with buying things and then putting them up and not needing them for months, and then I forget where I put them. So I just have to buy them again. But I'm pretty sure that a long time ago, the hub made itself into the EK. But I'm pretty sure it's not in here. It's in the trunk. There it is. Nice. So it turns out I had two NRG hub boxes, and there was another one in my storage, and it was just empty. So I was like, did I already use this hub, or what's going on? Anyways, so I had two of them. I found the second one. And I bought this non-stop tuning steering wheel months ago at the Honda meet in California, and I had them send it back to me. So I'm excited to get this put into the EF today. So we're gonna go ahead and put the original cluster back in. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this mounted back in. Hood back on. That's all good to go. The crack that was on this side is obviously still there, but it's not, you can't move it. And I think it's gonna be good for a while. So now we're gonna go ahead and put the hub on here, just to make sure it fits. And I heard a horn, so that's a good sign. These hubs are pretty easy to put on. Getting the wheels straight can sometimes be the issue. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly go over how to install one of these steering wheels. Pretty self-explanatory. Make sure your wheel's pretty straight there. I'm just making sure that I have my NRG is going straight up and down. I'm gonna tighten up the center 19 bolt. Then you plug both of those in. That comes with the quick release. Then you're gonna bolt this on. But sometimes I like to find out which bolts these go to on here and then put the quick release onto the hub. And that way I can make sure that it's straight up and down, the steering wheel. Which for me was this top one right here. And then since all my stuff is always used, I don't have the screws that go around. So I'm using some of these screws I bought from, I think, Harbor Freight, but this screw right here works. So I'm gonna use it as a temporary solution. After you get that on there, we're gonna go ahead and put this guy on. And then make sure your top bolt matches up with your top bolt on your steering wheel. Put your bolts in and you're done. So I got the steering wheel on. I'm less than happy with it though. I don't like the space that is here between my blinkers and my headlights. And I've tried to use this quick release on about 3 different cars with no success yet. It always puts the steering wheel in such an awkward position. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the quick release and just mount the steering wheel directly to the NRG hub. And that always fixes like all my problems. Anyway, that's what it does look like with the quick release. And the quick release works good. In theory, it should be great. But it's never great. I couldn't get the horn button on because the bolt sticks out too far from the horn button. So I need a spacer. Well, bam! Got one, dude. Got the spacer that we needed. It kind of fits between the hub and the steering wheel, and it should give us enough space to mount the horn button. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this removed, get this put on, and we'll see what kind of room we're working with after that. So I just wanted to show you guys, I really like actually the design of this. These holes are actually countersunk. They'll fit lots of different versions, I'm sure, of hubs. And then you basically put these on to hold this on, and then your steering wheel bolts directly to the extender. So big fan of that, actually. Got the spacer on here. I did use blue Loctite. I'm sorry, thread locker. Anyway, I got this on here. I tightened everything down as tight as possible. And now I'm going to go ahead and mount the steering wheel with the hardware that was on it before. Also using blue thread locker. Somebody in the comments a couple videos ago corrected me and said Loctite is actually thread locker. I know that, man. I just was raised calling it Loctite, so that's what we call it. That worked pretty perfect, actually. So now we got the horn button in there. It did work. I actually unhooked it though, because it's not that far away from the nut, and there's some electrical connections on the back of this, and I didn't want them to touch and have any problems with that. So I didn't hook it up for now. If I ever need it, it's back there. I can hook it up. But other than that, man, I really like this steering wheel quite a bit. Non-stop tuning, I bought it in California when I was there. It was $100. I think it was a pretty good deal. I like the size, the girth of it, you know what I mean? I'm gonna go ahead and take it for a test drive, make sure this is kind of at least close to centered. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to be pretty close, because whenever they align it next time, they'll fix anything that's off here anyway. I have no idea how I got it, but we're driving straight down the street and the steering wheel is bang on straight, so that's very unusual that you get that. I totally just guessed, so I'm happy though. At least it's not going to be annoying and off like a lot of aftermarket steering wheels. Dang, those motor mounts, dude. All right, so all that's fixed. Little odds and ends things on the EF. I've been meaning to get back on that thing for a while now. It's just, you know, I've just been burned out on the EF stuff. I'm happy to get that stuff down. The hood latch, those things were annoyances that I just couldn't get motivated to fix. I'm glad that I got around to that today. As well as the steering wheel. I've been wanting to put that in since we went to Honda Days a few months ago. Other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the video right there, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot, and we really, really appreciate you. And remember, keep chasing those bills.